everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio. Today I'm sharing with you some gel printing, and I had these smaller plates out on my desk because I was teaching a class this weekend, and so I decided that I would mess around using some old paints that I want to throw away, but I want to get the last little bit out of them, and some scraps. When I'm gel printing, oftentimes if I'm using these smaller plates, which I do quite a bit because I usually don't really need a large print of something. What I need is these small pieces for collage. So I tend to use the 5x7 and the 6x6. This other one is a 3x5. And I can make smaller pieces that I can then make even smaller or, maybe not depending on what I'm doing. But when I do it, I generally have these like strips from around the edges because I don't need that extra white or black paper from around the edges. And I usually will tear down my pieces before I store them. So I had this plastic bin of little strips, and I thought that I didn't want to waste them. I don't like to waste stuff. So I decided today to print with them on the plates that were already on my desk and use up some of this paint that there's just a little bit in the bottom. We all have a stack of this paint that's almost empty, and it's, do you want to waste it, or is it too dry? Is it too crumbly? Some of this is really dry. These I've had these probably for four or 5 years now. They're Arteza little tubes of acrylic paint. And so I wanted to go through them, and that's what I decided to do for my warm-up activity today. I haven't been doing a lot of art. I will probably do something with these little pieces that I've made, and it'll come up on Wednesday or something probably. I need to do some abstracts because it's still Art Joy of Sharing Abstract August, which usually just invigorates me, but since I've been sick with the breakthrough COVID and my whole family has been sick, I've just been not motivated. So if you are feeling tired or unmotivated or you've lost your mojo, this might be something you want to do. Just use up some tubes of paint, make some little bits with lots of fun pattern and texture, and then get them out and make something out of them. That's my big plan. So as you can see, these are just little strips of text weight paper. They're the bits that I've torn off edges or cut off edges of things when I was, working with something. I've got black text weight paper, white text weight paper. I might even have a few bits of like a rice paper or something. I'm not sure. It's just a little plastic container full of scraps that I don't want to throw away because I hate wasting things. So I decided the first thing I would do is get out some titanium white paint and then mix some of these leftover colors that I have because they're all pretty dark colors. I was kind of laughing as I was going through the tubes. Brown, more brown, yellow brown, yellow, lots of yellow, and blue. These are colors that I don't use a lot. And so that's why I still have them, because I didn't use them very much. So I thought, well, if I want to use them, I might lighten up the color by adding some titanium white. So I got out a piece of palette paper and I was mixing as I was going. The paint is quite dry. Some of it's even so dry that it's crumbly. Some of them I threw away immediately because I just couldn't even get them out of the tube. And then the rest, some of the others I just put on my palette, started mixing them with the white. And then I'm using all kinds of things to make texture. I've got obviously some Stencil Girl stencils because I love those. I've also got foam stamps like this artist one. I have a pill container, which is something that I never would have thought to use myself. That's Brigitte Koopsen's idea, to use what's left when you have some sort of medication and you pop out all the pills and it's empty. You have this leftover thing, and I was using Mucinex and I used up the whole box of it. And so I have this leftover thing, and it just makes such interesting patterns. Never would have come up with that. So I'll as we go through medications, I'll hopefully be able to save some other ones that are different shapes. Sometimes they're circles. This one's like a lozenge shape, lodge. You know what I mean. Oval, oval, long, larger pill. Can't say the word right now. So the colors are coming out pretty interesting mixed with the white. I'm using some of it full strength, like there's kind of a, uh, you know, yuck yellow color. I don't like that color. That's how come I have a whole, half a tube of it left when some of the other more interesting bright colors are gone. But it's a pretty cool color when you mix it with white. This is rose, which is actually a color I do like, but the reason I haven't used it very often is because it's translucent. And so you put it with other colors and it just gets lost if you put it over other colors or layer it at all, because it's so see-through that you just get kind of a tint of it. So I'm going to use it. I'm just using that. Towards the end, I start to throw in, like, I do have a large container of titanium white. I use a couple other colors in my larger tubes because, I mean, who wants a bunch of collage fodder that's brown? I know I don't. I got burnt sienna, raw umber, burnt umber, ochre. Those are the colors that are left. So yeah, you can't just use those. And then I have like 3 different colors of blue. So that tells you that I don't use blue very often, which is true. Another little texture thing I used here is someone sent it to me as a texture tool, but it's obviously left over from something. It's like a little plastic square shape that's divided into a grid, and it just makes really interesting texture on a gel plate. I really like that tool. No idea what it was in its original life because I didn't collect it. It was something that someone sent me in Happy Mail. They told me it was their favorite, and I thought, okay. And then I used it, and I thought, it's my favorite too. It's fun. Another one that I used, which is another one of my really favorite ones that I recommend that you save and collect yourself, is the spool of the inside of transparent tape, like Scotch tape. It makes a double circle, and I really enjoy that one a lot. Like I said, foam stamps. What else did I use? Oh, I think I used some sequin waste, punchinella. I tried messing around with a little silicone tool, but everything was so dry that it wasn't writing very well on the plate. Sometimes it's fun to make marks with that. And of course, stencils, definitely stencils. You guys have seen this type of process before. That's my roll-off paper, and when I picked up that white on it, it turned into something I want to keep. So I just set that one aside and got a new roll-off paper. Sometimes your roll-off paper that you're cleaning your brayer with is just really cool. It turns out really neat. So I did use up quite a bit of my little tubes of paint, which I'm happy. I used up almost all of my little strips of white and black paper that I had, and I ended up with some really great stuff. At the end of the video, of course, you will see pictures of all the tapes. I mean, these could be tapes. They could be washi tape. They could also just be little pieces. You can tear them into strips and they become a type of washi tape. So another thing I have that I should have gotten out if I was thinking about tape, you know how sometimes when you get a package, you get a rectangular sticker? I haven't got them recently, but I have in the past got a lot of these rectangular stickers that have some printing on them. Part of the mailing process, maybe from Amazon, I'm not sure, but I have a stack of those, and they do have printing on them, but if you used opaque paint and covered up the printing, you could make a sticker, right? So I've saved those too, and they were in that same box, but I didn't pull them out this time, but I will sometime. Because then it's when you print it on something like that, it becomes self-adhesive, a real actual sticker. So that's another thing to save and use for your gel printing. So as you can see, there's no reason at all that you need to use a whole sheet of paper when you're gel printing. You can just lay the strips over it and pull it up that way. So that's all I wanted to show you guys. Boy, there's a whole half of a video left that I have to talk. You can tell my voice still isn't back to normal. I don't know when I'm going to get completely well from this nonsense, but I would not give this illness 5 stars on Yelp. I would say don't get it. Just stay away from it. Wear your mask because you don't want it. That was one of my favorites right there, that turquoise, blue, yellow, green combination. It was turned out really cool. I like that one a lot. Probably one of the first ones I'll use. When your paint is dry and starting to be at the end of its life, sometimes it sticks onto the plate or it sticks onto the stencils. This is just something that happens. You know, I live in a very dry climate, and that can sometimes actually be fun because when you pull the stencil off or the stamp off or whatever you're using to make a mark, it pulls the paint completely off. And then you end up with a reverse, which probably wasn't your intention when you started, but it turns out fun. Those little punchinella circles on my scrap paper is something I saved as well. So you'll see them in the end. You might see some of it in the end pictures because it just makes a bunch of little dots, which is fun to collage with. So like I said, I do plan to make some abstract collages with these little bits, which will probably be coming up in the next couple days or maybe next week on my channel. I'm trying to build up a collection of videos for your guys' entertainment, and I just, you know, I'll do it as I can. So as you can see there on that one on the very far left, instead of just making a mark, this time the pill container completely pulled off the paint and just left these little ovals, which is cool. But could I have predicted that? Absolutely not. It's because that burnt sienna, or I think it's burnt sienna, color is very dry in its tube now. And so it was almost granular, but it still worked just fine, and it made something really cool, right? It left those shapes that I probably wouldn't have been able to get any other way, maybe with a stencil. If I had a stencil that had those shapes on it, which I might, I don't know. But there was a lot of grunge making here, a lot of leftover crusty bits on the plate, which I personally enjoy a lot. They come up on the next print or, you know, the next print after that. That one had a lot of leftover bits. Now this one right here that I'm just about to pull is probably my very favorite. I made marks with the spool from the inside of the cellophane tape. And then it was over that burnt sienna color, and then I put this turquoise color over the top, teal turquoise, one of those, and it came out really cool. You'll see as soon as I pull it up here. And it was another one of my big time favorites. And I don't even like brown, but it had that kind of rusty color combined with this turquoise teal color, which I really liked. I thought it was awesome. And as you can see, I just tear away the excess and make it into something smaller. This is the one that had the brown dots. I can't remember what color. Oh, I ended up putting some pink on it through those other shapes that I made. And not very much of the pink showed up, but you can see it in the close-up, and it was pretty cool. So it's got those shapes, and then I think it's got gray or light blue. I have an almost completely full tube of gray, which obviously not a color I use very often, is it? If I was an acrylic painter, I would use gray a lot because that's a great blending color for making shadows and things, but that's not what I generally use my acrylic paint for, so I end up with this entire tube that's hardly even been touched with gray paint. And it actually makes some pretty interesting prints when you combine it with brighter colors. Probably not something I would use every day, but I will certainly use them. It's just gray is such a boring color. That's even more boring than brown. So I hope you guys are enjoying this gel printing video. I know people like to watch me gel print. It soothes people sometimes. Just something to watch. Maybe it doesn't inspire you to run to your studio, or maybe it does, but people like to watch it. So you can see I've got 3 different colors of yellow. I've got lemon yellow, medium yellow, and then that yellow ochre color. It's like, why do I have so much yellow? Why? There's some of those dots I was telling you about. I think I saved a little piece of that. And that's using sequin waste, sometimes called punchinella. It makes fun patterns if you happen to have a piece of it. I'm not actually sure where you would buy it if you don't have a piece of it, to be honest. I don't know if they sell that at a store or not. I think it may have come in a kit from the gel company, maybe. They do sell some kits that come with punchinella and like string that you can make marks with, and paint, as well as your plate. It comes all together as a kit. I think that's where it came from. I'm not sure. This one was kind of, had a lot going on. Different. So now I'm just trying to pull out what's left of those little pieces. Here's some of the little black pieces that I'm going to use. If you're enjoying this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already. You can turn on your notification bells if you want to know when there's a new video coming out. Also, there's links below that link to our Art Joy of Sharing Facebook group that you can join, and also link to my Amazon affiliate store. If you see something I'm using and you want to purchase it, or if you just want to purchase something on Amazon, you can use that link, and it helps out my channel by giving me a few cents when you purchase something. It doesn't even have to be an art thing. It can be whatever you happen to be purchasing from Amazon that day. I always appreciate that. There's that little silicone tool that kind of scrapes off some of the paint. It's just kind of fun to play with. I have a set of those with different ends. And I think that one just has kind of like a little brush type end. There's some more of that sienna color, kind of a rusty brown. That labyrinth foam stamp is pretty cool. I think I got my foam stamps from either Art Foamies or Joggles. I'm not sure which one I ordered them from, but I do like foam stamps. I actually have some leftover foam from my kid doing something with his truck, and he gave me the excess pieces, and I think I might be able to cut my own foam stamps with it, but I haven't tried it yet. But if I ever do, I'm sure it'll be here on the channel. I saw the pieces when I was going through stuff and thought about that idea I had at one point to make some interesting foam stamps myself. So those turned out cool with that labyrinth looking stamp on it. This one was just different pieces of packaging. I can't remember what it turned out like, to be honest. Don't like that color, that ochre color. Reminds me of what happens to a baby's diaper when they're really little. Not a fan of that color. But I'm using them up. And then they'll be gone, and that will be good. But see, that piece turned out interesting with the combination of the sienna, the ochre, and the blue. So you just never know what you're going to get. Just never know. Here I brought in some light pink because I didn't have anything left in the tubes that was interesting. I like this stencil a lot. It's supposed to be staples, like a pile of staples. You know, the things that you use in your stapler to fasten paper. I think it's a fun stencil. And I was putting some of that light pink over some of the other pieces that I had already done, just to make them a little bit more interesting. I also printed the stencil on my roll-off sheet, which I ended up tearing some of that up and making some little pieces too. This print had a lot of grungy stuff left on it, so I thought it might pick up. And it did a little bit, so you can see the blues. But it left some more. And that's just because those paints are so almost done for, almost wasted. I just need to use them up and get them done out the door. So I decided to pick up what was left on there. And they're more like kind of subtle, but interesting. So that's pretty much the last one for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you tomorrow or the next day or sometime. Bye-bye.